Shanahan versus Sirianni and Reid. These are the three coaches who have been in the Super Bowl the last 3 years. How would we compare Shanahan to those two?
Okay, let's do Reid first. Okay. A lot of people point out that Reid didn't do that well in Philly and he had to leave. And he did. It was the right thing. And he came to Kansas City. But oh my God, his second act in the NFL is Iggy. It is astonishingly great.
Yes.
As much as I love to watch Mahomes play, I love to watch that guy coach.
Yeah.
I love to watch him coach. He is so inventive.
He's just as great as Mahomes, if not greater.
Absolutely. And what a combo. What a combo, right? And you imagine his mind is always making up plays. It's his art form.
And he's like a wizard. Like he has decades of experience, which is something McVay and Shanahan and Sirianni just can't replicate. They might be really clever or really smart, really learned, but Andy Reid coached for Holmgren. So he was one layer away from Walsh. So he can the Rolodex of ideas in his brain is just so much bigger.
He's one of the only guys in the league who runs the West Coast offense. He is in Bill Walsh's coaching tree. Shanahan isn't.
No, he's not. And what's cool about him too is he's taken like a college structure that Patrick Mahomes is comfortable with and implemented West Coast principles, like all those screen passes, all those quick passes. Like Patrick Mahomes is the most gifted quarterback in the league. And how many easy layups does Andy Reid give him a game?
Absolutely. So now you're asking Kyle against Andy Reid. Iggy, it's no contest. Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. He does many things very well. But this is a guy in a different level from him. And I'll give you an example. If Andy Reid is behind back late in the game, he's going to win. I mean, of course he loses sometimes, but he is absolutely confident he's going to win, and he never makes a mistake. He never blows it. Shanahan can be ahead in the fourth quarter, and we've seen any number of times, Iggy, where he blows it. So I would say that I believe Andy Reid has more nerve, less nervous, doesn't let his mind get clouded by anxiety in stress moments of games. I prefer him to Shanahan.
We saw that this weekend. So they took the lead. They took the lead late against the Bills, and they had to close out the game on offense, which is something we've seen Kyle Shanahan really struggle to do in Super Bowls. So he has the ball, and it's 3rd and long, and all of a sudden, Samaje Perine is in the game, and we haven't seen him all game, and he's catching the pass wide open in the flat, getting the first down, game over, Chiefs win. It's like, Andy, you just had that up your sleeve the whole time? He's like, yeah. He has these plays that he can go to when it's time to win, just like in overtime against the Niners when they're at the 6-yard line. He has this play to get Mecole freaking Hardman, whoever that is, wide open, and it worked and they win. And Kyle doesn't seem to have these aces up his sleeve.
Yes. So what we're saying is Andy is really brilliant in football. So he has this play, and we're going to go over the play slowly in a minute with Perine, and it's there when he needed it. He didn't have to dream it up. They had practiced it. It was there when he needed it, and then he said, I need it. And he put the game away with that. Iggy, say what happened on that play.
Okay, so it's 3rd and long, and the Bills are playing man-to-man coverage. They're trying to be aggressive and take away probably Travis Kelce and not give any like quick, easy throws to someone who's unguarded in the zone. So Andy Reid says, okay, you play man, you're going to want to take away Travis Kelce. I'm going to get the ball to my 3rd-string running back for the win. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the running back on the right side of the quarterback. On the left side of the quarterback, 3 receivers. They're all of them going to run crossing routes from left to right. So you got 3 receivers running from left to right, 3 DBs covering those receivers going left to right, and then you got Perine and the linebacker who's covering him one-on-one. Perine's going to run through the offensive line between like the guard and the tackle. So that's even more traffic that Andy Reid created by design. And that poor linebacker has to find a direct path to Perine, which he can't do. All Perine needs is a step, which he gets. Mahomes puts the ball on him on time, in stride, boom, game over. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. It's I want to say it's the kind of stuff Bill Walsh used to do. He used to explain to me how he'd filter his running back through the line and people would lose sight of him. And so this is strictly right out of Bill's playbook. And so the guy in Kansas City is doing it, but not the guy in Santa Clara. Unless, look, if Kyle has that play and uses it, God love you, Kyle, and I apologize. I'm not as astute as some other people. I'm just not aware that you do that, but the guy in Kansas City sure did.
But historically, Kyle's pattern in these moments when it's like you can put the game away with this play, it's like sacked, incomplete pass. His quarterback always gets sacked or the ball's thrown away when it's Matt Ryan, Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo.
There seems to be a tendency for that. We can't say every single time. Could we say
not every single time? I can think of sometimes.
Okay, not every single time. I'm trying to play it safe here. You know what I mean? Okay, a more interesting comparison is Kyle and Sirianni.
Real quick, though, before we compare them, can we just talk about Sirianni and Reid? One thing I think that's so compelling about the Super Bowl is the fact that the Eagles had Reid. Reid is now going in the running for greatest coach of all time. And he's going for a three-peat, which no one's ever done. Eagles had Reid. Eagles essentially pushed him out, never won a Super Bowl with him. And you can't say they did the wrong thing. They're right there with the two best teams in football, and they've done really well for themselves too, and won a Super Bowl.
Right, and Andy Reid needed to leave. He needed to have, as I say, a second act. I think if Kyle doesn't do well in the upcoming season, I think he needs to leave and try to create a second act. But let's get back to Sirianni and Kyle. Would that be okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to list what I think Kyle's advantages are over Sirianni, and then I'm going to do the opposite. All right. Kyle is a more brilliant football mind than Sirianni. I believe that. Kyle is among the better play callers in the league. He is not the best play caller, or maybe even the second best, but he's very good. He understands offensive football very well. Sirianni is not in his league in that regard. But Sirianni doesn't call plays. Sirianni always has an offensive and a defensive coordinator, and he looks at the big picture. When do I take a timeout? Do I go for 2 points here? He's managing the game, and he's on the headsets talking to his coordinators, and maybe he vetoes some things they say and all of that. It seemed, I want to get back to Bill Walsh in a minute because he did not like that. But I'm going to say I think there is a trend in the league now for what Bill would call chairman of the board head coaches who don't have who have coordinators and coordinate their coordinators but don't call plays. And let's name a few of them. The two Harbaughs, Sirianni, the two Harbaughs, Dan Campbell.
And Aaron Glenn, he just went to the Jets and he said, "I'm not going to be calling plays. I want to be focused on being a head coach."
Right. So those are five. The guy in Buffalo, does he?
Robert Saleh didn't call plays in New York. Jeff Ulbrich did.
Yeah, what about the guy in Buffalo?
I don't believe Sean McDermott. I don't think he calls plays either.
Right. So there's a trend, just like there's a trend for a running quarterback. There's a trend now for a coach who is, quote unquote, Bill's words, chairman of the board. And what that does, it allows you to see the big picture. You have an offensive coordinator who calls plays. You can veto him. You could say, no, I want this. But you have a larger picture of the game, including defense. Because guys like Shanahan and Sean McVay, I don't think they're that involved with the defense. Certainly not Sean McVay. When the defense is on the field, he's looking at his play sheet.
He's thinking about what is my sequence going to be on the next drive.
Absolutely. He's not involved at that level. And I wonder if Kyle is. So what I mean is Sirianni, I think, has a larger view, a bigger television screen than Kyle does. I also think Sirianni is a better leader. He's emotional. He
Mhm.
gets angry. He hugs players.
Yeah.
He's not one of the guys, but he's in the family. He's
Mhm.
in the family, and I don't see that with Kyle. So I feel with Kyle, I think he does things better than Sirianni. If Sirianni has the right coordinators, I think he's a better leader and a better coach and has a better culture. That's for sure. Whatever was going on with the Niners this season, there was something wrong with their culture. And I'm not sure they fixed it. So between the two, I might lean towards Sirianni, although I don't actually respect him as much as Kyle as a football man.
The thing about Sirianni is like what Walsh would say about chairman of the board style head coaches, that they're at the mercy of their coordinators. Well, you got to
Yes.
give Sirianni credit. He's on his third set of coordinators in 3 years, and he's right back there. He's never missed the playoffs. So there must be something that he does well. As I mean, in addition to his coordinators, he doesn't seem to be quite at their mercy. Um, and I think what's interesting also, Walsh preferred his style. There's Walsh, there's McVay, there's Andy Reid, guys who have shown that they can do both, be a head coach and call plays and win Super Bowls. Those are the best of the best. Kyle hasn't shown that he can do that. When he gets to the critical moment of the season where he's about to win the Super Bowl, game management is what gets him every time.
I agree. Yes.
So he hasn't shown that he can wear both hats expertly like Bill Walsh can. He's not Bill Walsh. He is a really, really good play caller. But in terms of being a head coach, I don't know. Maybe if he just focused on that, he'd be a really, really head coach. But he seems much more into being a play caller. And it almost feels like, I don't know if he looks down his nose, but people who think that Kyle is the end all be all of a coach look at Sirianni and say, what does he even do? You don't do anything. If you're not calling plays, you're just giving press conferences.
I think Kyle, because he insists on being the play caller, the offensive coordinator, and I respect it. I respect it. He needs a game manager. He needs somebody who says, this is going to happen in 2 plays. This is what we're looking at. You need to think ahead 3 plays. Kyle, have you thought of this? He needs to have a Socratic dialogue, Iggy, with someone on the sideline in his earphone who's saying, think about this may happen, to help him plan ahead. Or if we get into this situation, we need a play at the end, like the Pirine play. You have it? It's on the play sheet. Be aware of it. He needs someone to make his vision larger.
Also, like on this drive, if we get into a 4th down situation, we're going to go for it, or we're not going to go for it. Like, you look at teams like the Commanders, Dan Quinn not calling plays, very aggressive on 4th down. Lions, very aggressive on 4th down. It's part of what makes them so tough. Maybe Kyle Shanahan would be more thinking along those lines of like when to go for it, when not to go for it, instead of, what's my call on third and 4.
Right. Either he needs to expand his vision or he needs help. Either he needs to become like Sirianni or he needs help. Now, let me ask you, does Andy Reid call his own plays?
He does call his own plays.
So he
Now,
can do
he
it.
also has an offensive coordinator in Matt Nagy who he will give the ability to talk directly to Patrick Mahomes during games. So if Andy Reid feels he needs to spend more attention on defense or game management in a certain time, he can turn those duties over, which is a nice thing to be able to do. But again, if you're one of the greatest coaches of all time and you've won Super Bowls, I understand keeping those duties for yourself. But Kyle, you keep having issues with game management, and it's going to keep being an issue if you're still a play caller. And it seems like the Niners, since he doesn't really want to, he looks down on those duties. Either Robert Saleh has to be the head coach, or they're a team without a head coach. They're a team with 2 really good coordinators.
Or he has a game manager to help him.
Yes.
And that would work for me, Iggy. What I'm
Yes.
saying is that Joe Blow could come in and do those kinds of things for him. And Kyle would have to be open to that because it would help him.
McVay has that guy.
So Kyle, what we're saying is we're not asking you to give up anything. We're suggesting you get a little help. And there is nothing humiliating about that. Actually, it shows tremendous strength.
Here's another difference between them. Sirianni is like just a head coach, not a coordinator, not a general manager. Kyle's a little bit of everything because he hired John Lynch and he calls the plays and he has the vision for the whole team, for the roster, for the defense. They could have had Vic Fangio a couple of years ago, but Kyle loves the wide nine, wants to keep Chris Kasarik. Vic Fangio runs a 3-4. It wouldn't have meshed. And so Fangio ended up in Miami and now he's in Philly with Sirianni, who doesn't tell him what to do on defense. He says, thank you very much, Vic, for being on the team. You can coach the defense. I'll just make your life easier. That's a big difference between them. Sirianni doesn't meddle as much, and he has to answer to his boss.
And, Fangio is doing a wonderful job, Iggy. Right?
Shocker.
Shocker.
What's crazy is that the Dolphins didn't want him? What?
I know. Well, they have the highest standards, Iggy.
They're great.
Yeah.
Tough team.
Are they the most finesse, soft team you've ever seen?
They are the softest team in the NFL.
They are. They're marshmallow.
They're marshmallow.
They're
marshmallow. Well,
yeah. Could I say one thing about Bill? Because you went over it quickly, and Bill used to talk to me all the time about this. He used to say, I call my own plays, Lowell. And I want you to understand, there are certain coaches who are chairman of the board coaches. They are at the mercy of their coordinators. They can kill them. I don't want that to happen to me. I call my own plays, and I got George Seifert calling the defense. I'm okay. And I talk to George all the time. I don't, quote, want to be at the mercy of my coordinators. Sirianni and the Harbaughs have put themselves in that position, but they're doing well with it. Kyle doesn't want to be at the mercy of his coordinators, but he's paradoxically at the mercy of himself.
I loved it.
You liked it, right?
I loved it. I was so good. This is why covering the Niners is the best team. He's at the mercy of himself. He's at war with himself.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Dad. Here's one. Who's a better coaching combo? Because these two may go down as the ultimate. Bill Walsh and George Seifert. Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo.
Oh, God. Well, Bill won 3 Super Bowls. How many Super Bowls has this guy won, Reid?
3.
Iggy, you know what? I'm going to have to say it's too close to call.
I'm going to give it to Walsh and Seifert because then Seifert went on and won 2 Super Bowls as a head coach on his own. And Spagnuolo's a great defensive coordinator, but I don't know that maybe he'll become the Chiefs head coach after Andy Reid retires and he'll go on and win more himself. But Seifert was all-time great, should be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, absolutely. Because he won Super Bowls as a coordinator too.
Yes, he did. I think he has 4, 2 as a coordinator. The first one wasn't with Seifert, I don't think.
That's right. It wasn't.
Okay.